Hi, everybody. Hope you are having a beautiful morning. I am sparkly today because I have a holiday party at my little daughter's school in a little bit. So today's call, I'll probably keep it to about 20 minutes. Today, we're going to talk about how do you not get triggered during the holiday season, or in fact, any season at all. Okay. And that's a really critical one because the holiday season is like a minefield of triggers. There's a lot of reasons for that. One, as human beings, we put like an insane amount of pressure on the holidays. I mean, I myself last night was furiously attempting to order holiday cards, which I'm just terrible at. Um, and I did finally order some. And like it's only what is it, 10 days before Christmas. So I'm just knocking it out of the park there. There's just so much pressure. There's so many things we're supposed to do. There's all these boxes we're supposed to kick and or tick. And if you're a mom, there's honestly, I didn't realize when I was a kid, all the magic of the holidays is not Santa, it's mom. So, like, mom is the one coming up with all the game plans and moving everything around, making sure that everything's all set up and beautiful and wonderful. And this experience is amazing for their kids. And it's a lot of pressure. So, if you're a mom, you have been a mom, or even no moms, then you know that this is what happens. Aside from the amount of pressure that we put on it, then we have this additional thing that is just an instant trigger maker. What is that? There's repetition. And when I say repetition, we have ritual during the holidays. We have tradition during the holidays. Your tradition may look very different from mine depending on the holidays that you celebrate, but we all have these things that are passed down from generation to generation, or that are the thing that we always do in our family, right? And so that can become very, very difficult. It literally sets a whole bunch of, as I call them, memory holograms, which is really all triggers are, which is a combination of, all of your sensory experiences in a moment, along with any expectations or beliefs that you're taking on in that moment. The thing is with repetition, just like with the retuning statements and needing to shift some of the underlying negative programming that you might have or difficult programming you might have, then it's the exact same thing. Repetition can be your friend where it can help you to shift things that you no longer want. But it also can be a very difficult thing when you take it in terms of something like the holidays. So I want you to take a look quickly and think about the rituals and traditions that you have that end up putting a lot of pressure or stress upon you to try to maintain or uphold. Now, some of those might look like, well, we always go to grandma so-and-so's house every holiday and we get there at exactly this time. Or, oh, everybody travels for the holidays. Or we make this exact thing every holiday. So like, if you screw that thing up, whatever it is, then it's going to be an epic nightmare. Or, we have these holiday parties we must do, or this has to happen, right? And people get really, really, really funky. They get really attached to their traditions. Now, let me just say, traditions are great. Like I'm a big one on ritual. I wake up every morning and I try to do my own morning ritual every morning. We've talked about the morning ritual kind of early in the Manifest Your Dream Life trainings. And so ritual can be a very, very good thing. But when it starts to be something that's very constricting and can have attached to it emotions that we don't want to have, such as perhaps guilt, such as stress, such as performance, making sure that this is absolutely perfect, or perfectionism as well, then that's where it becomes a problem. And so as you move through life, and you probably have noticed that as you're moving through life in different phases, your holidays have changed. Maybe you got married, or you partnered up with somebody, or maybe you had a kid and that changed things. And each time that change of tradition probably felt extremely stressful to you. And it felt extremely stressful to you because it's literally a habit. And then if you add to that family expectation on top of it, it becomes really exhausting. So that's another reason that the holidays can be so triggering for so many. A third reason why they can be so triggering is because, unfortunately, a lot of us have had some really bad things happen through the holiday season. for whatever reason, a lot of people pass away during the holidays. And I know, for me, the anniversary of the death of my really beloved grandpa on my dad's side was just a couple weeks ago, not even a couple, about a week ago. And, those dates, even if we're not consciously thinking about those dates or how hard that might have been in that moment in time, our conscious mind might forget, but our subconscious never does. Okay. So that date might come around December 7th in my case. And I might just feel off that day and not quite know why if I haven't consciously thought about it, because it's been, gosh, my grandpa's been gone for really like 20 plus years, which just doesn't seem possible. But anyways, and so that's something I want you to be aware of. If you start, pay attention to, do you have some anniversaries during this holiday season that would be difficult for you, would be something that might be quite triggering for you? Now, you might have some positive, anniversaries as well. Like I just had the anniversary of the day that we finalized the adoption of my little girl. That's a great holiday, so that's a big one where I might feel really good. So the triggers aren't always negative. We're just taking a look today on how do you sort of calm down, subdue, and keep yourself from being triggered when it is a negative trigger that maybe involves guilt or obligation or fear, anxiety, or any of those things that do happen quite often. Okay. So that is one that I want you to think about. Do you have an anniversary or anniversaries during this time that were difficult or painful for you, that were things that, maybe you had the loss of somebody really substantial, or maybe someone you really loved, went in the hospital during this period of time? I don't know what it is with the holidays, but I cannot tell you how many people have dealt with kind of really surprising and big losses during this time of year. And I do think part of it is like the amount of stress that we put on ourselves as people leads to things like heart attacks and strokes and other things that are have a high stress component as well. Okay. So those are things that I want you to think about. Write down those anniversaries, pay attention to how you're feeling. If you're coming up to a difficult anniversary for you, one of the things that you want to do is find a way to maybe even get ahead of that anniversary and decide upon a way that you can honor and perhaps that loss or that difficulty in your life during this period of time in a way that feels really good and uplifting and positive for you. Okay. And also honors the spirit of the person or even animal that you've lost. Lots of people lose pets during the holidays as well. So what would that look like, perhaps? So one of the things you can think about is there some sort of beautiful thing you could do that would be something that that person that you've lost would love, would absolutely love? It can be as simple as the person you lost absolutely loved going out for a great cup of coffee. And so you dedicate a little bit of time on that anniversary day to going and having absolutely a phenomenal cup of coffee. Maybe even order it with their name on it, just so when they call it out, it's, whatever that name might be. And so, that's a way to take some time to honor your loss and connect with that loved one in a way that's really positive. I think when we gloss over some of those anniversaries, when we just kind of like try to move through it, push through it, it's never the answer. Whenever we shove down emotions or shove down, we know we're going into a bad thing, a bad time period for us. When we don't just kind of look at it, take a look at it and say, okay, I can prepare for this. Now, we can't always prepare for every bad time period, obviously, but if this is an anniversary, you can, then when we ignore that, that's when it shoves down inside us and makes us sick and makes us exhausted. And that's honestly one of the key reasons so many people get sick during this time of year, honestly, is the stress and our immune systems, being depleted because of the stress. Now, for me, immune system is always station one. And what does that mean? So that's station one is feeling safe, protected, safe in groups in our lives. And the holidays are all about these group experiences, man. They're either like co-worker experiences and friends experiences, and the friends ones hopefully usually aren't too too difficult, but big family gatherings where you got to see your Uncle Bob that's always really obnoxious and drunk or whatever it is, right? or you got to see somebody who was really horrible to you as a child and suddenly you got to go hang out with them. I have somebody that I've worked with that she had all her cousins were really serious bullies of her, and then she has to go back, that's the thing. She doesn't actually have to go back, but if she does go back for the holidays, she has to go hang out with these people as an adult and act like that was totally fine, right? Like everything's cool and this is a great holiday. And if you say anything, you're going to blow the whole holiday up, right? And it's like, who blew the holiday up first, man? Like who actually did that, right? And so that's what I want you to look at. If you have an anniversary during this period of time that is difficult for you, that is a loss, find a beautiful way to decide to honor that person during this time period, right? Find a way that makes you feel like, if it's someone who loves art, go to a paint your pottery place, go walk around the art museum for an hour, right? When we do those things, we can allow ourselves to shift into a place of love and gratitude and connection. Now, excuse me, what if you're getting triggered by family? What if you have some narcissistic family members who love to put some guilt on you, love to accuse you of things that you are not doing, love to dump everything on you, and so you pick up all that energy and you just try to, like, all right, fine. So every year you end up the person running around like a crazy person, or you're the person that ends up defending yourself because you're trying to set a healthy boundary and suddenly everybody's calling you selfish, greedy, and crazy, or whatever else it is, right? Here's the thing. You don't want to defend yourself. You cannot defend yourself to somebody who's committed to misunderstanding you. If you set a healthy boundary this year, let's say you decide, you know what, I'm going to do 2 hours at my family home because it's just really hard and I don't want, it's a lot of energy. And at 2 hours, I'm heading home to my cats or whatever it is, right? But your family is going to push back on that pretty heavy, right? And so let's say they're like, well, you're really letting me down. And what am I going to do? And I'm totally on my own, and all the guilt things that might happen that could be super triggering for you. And then it comes to you're selfish or whatever. Here's a little sentence you can use in a calm way that will allow you to not defend yourself. Because once we get into trying to defend ourselves to somebody who's committed to misunderstanding us and who's committed to being illogical, we are in a whole world of hurt. You're never going to win that fight. You're going to just wear yourself out, and 2 hours later, you could still be there defending yourself. What you can say instead is, take a deep breath. What you can say instead is, that's not true. You can think it if you want to, but it's not true. And then you just keep repeating that. And it's going to sound pretty hardcore, and it's going to sound and feel really rough in your body at first. What I can tell you from experience of having to use this in certain situations is that it takes the wind out of the person that is trying to come at you and is trying to be illogical. Because at some point, there's nothing else to grasp. You go, okay, you can think that if you want to. It's not true, but you can think it. You're welcome to think it. It's free country. Like, I'm not defending myself. You get to think whatever you want to think, and I get to know what I actually know about myself, and we're done. Like, that's where we're at, okay? So that is one of the great ways to kind of come up with, if you know that you need to set some healthy boundaries, how do you keep from having, finding yourself in this horrible spiral of defending yourself over and over again, okay? So that's one really good one. Another tip is, so I'd like you to sit down and think about the times. Usually we know throughout the holiday, like, what are the things that are going to trigger me, right? So maybe your dad at the exact same time every year starts to have like a meltdown about something, or maybe your mom has a meltdown about something, and it's the exact same time every year and it's around the exact same stuff. When you know that, you can find ways ahead of time to decide that you are not going to run in and save. A lot of us have triggers to run in and save, run in and make things better. I tend to want the holidays to be this Norman Rockwell experience, and everybody has their own thing they want to do. And some people want drama on the holidays. I'm just convinced of it. Some people just love drama on the holidays. I want it to be like a nice little peaceful, joyful, easy holiday for everybody. That doesn't always happen, right? For anybody, for anybody. So here's the thing I finally realized about that is you can decide to look at the reality of how the holiday is going to be, such as the triggers that might happen in your family that are going to cause you to have problems. And then you can choose that you're simply going to accept them and you're not going to try to save them and you're not going to try to change them. That you get to have the holiday that you want and others get to have the holiday they want. And you don't actually have to play into any of those things. Okay. Now, let me explain what I mean by that. So many, many years ago, I had something going on in my family and I was trying to make everything all like nice for everybody because of the situation. It was a pretty serious situation. And what I wanted as the situation and the outcome and everyone's experience in this particular situation meant inherently changing how other people were going to behave in a lot of ways. And I was causing myself a lot of stress because it was about something important in my life, somebody important in my life. And I came across this like Buddhist cone, and the basic overall thing with the Buddhist cone is you cannot change a maple tree into an oak tree. You can't do it. Like you can try and try and try and try. A maple's a maple and an oak is an oak. Okay. Now that hit me just at the right time, as oftentimes little bits of inspiration do, and hopefully this will for you as well. That hit me just at the right time because it helped me to see that everyone in this situation, I wasn't going to change somebody's inherent mapleness. If they're a person who wants drama in the situation, they're going to have and create drama. Like that's what they actually wanted. That was actually their experience. That's what they wanted in the experience. Some people were going to be in denial because that's their mapleness. That's who they are. They weren't going to confront anything. They weren't going to change anything. And then, here I was trying to make the situation as loving and positive as I possibly could, which I could do within the constraints of what I could do in this situation. But I could not be the oak trying to drop some acorns of love on everyone and then change their mapleness into an oak tree filled with the acorns of love, right? So hopefully that makes sense. Basically, sometimes going into it with some radical acceptance of who the people are in your life and how they want to experience whatever it is you're experiencing, whether, whatever holiday it is or whatever gathering it is. And this goes for everything, you guys. This goes for going into big meetings with your coworkers. This goes for going into meetings with your friends where you have some friends that are triggering maybe, or other family events. It doesn't matter. Anytime there's a group involved, it is best if you can look at them with a clear view that this is who they are, this is what they want, this is their mapleness. And that's fine. And that doesn't actually mean you have to try to change yourself into a maple, right? You get to be the oak tree, the ash tree, whatever kind of tree you want to be, the spruce tree. You get to be that, and you can go about not being triggered, not attempting to be anything different than you actually are. Now, my final quick tip, I know I've gone almost 20 minutes, so my final quick tip for you guys is this. I've done some shield practices within the Manifest Your Dream Life Academy. I highly recommend making sure that you do your shield practice before you go into any situation, any group situation this holiday season. Do the shield. In fact, I recommend doing it every day. I recommend doing that every day regardless. Like I do it every morning. So if you're an empath, it's honestly like as critical as brushing your teeth. Do that shield exercise before you go into any situation. If you find yourself overwhelmed by people in your life and your shield feels like it's coming down, you can actually hop into the bathroom and put your shield back up. Nobody's following you in the bathroom. It gives you a little space, okay? That's an option. The second thing so basically paying attention to make sure that shield is up. You would be amazed at how much that internal shield extending outward actually makes an impact on everyone around you, right? And then The next thing I recommend is making sure that you've given yourself, if you know that there are triggers, if you know there's places where there are people in your family that are going to cause you to feel quite stuck, like a hostage situation, and certain things are going to confront you. You know, we've got politics, we've got religion, we've got God only knows. And sometimes it's just overwhelming, or sometimes somebody wants to dump all their drama on you and you like just want to have a nice holiday. You don't want to be the one fixing it this year. Then make sure you give yourself some jobs. You know, set the table, clear the table, wash the dishes, you know, play with your young nieces and nephews. Give yourself a job so you're moving and you can always say, "Hey, I'm right in the middle of this right now. I'll talk to you in a little bit." Give yourself some strategies to keep yourself from being stuck in situations that you don't want to be stuck in. Now, putting the shield up is going to help a ton, but that's a final strategy to be able to do it. I hope this helps you as you head into the holidays. Next Friday will be our last Manifest Your Dream Life Academy of the year. We're going to start the year off next year with another 5-day Manifest Your Dream Life intensive that I hope is hugely helpful in getting you on the right track and clearing things out that you don't want in 2024 and bringing those things in that you do want. Until then, have a beautiful weekend. Let me know how this video hit for you. And if there's anything you're struggling with, please let me know. I'm here to help. And so I'm happy to try to tailor any videos or anything like that, video answers to you in any way that I can. Hope you have a beautiful morning and a beautiful day. I'll see you guys again next week and within the group. Talk to you soon. Bye.